So I'm going to basically just go through the chapter like this, and I'm going to write down every heading and any bold words. And what I'll do is I'll end up getting a piece of paper that looks kind of like this, with all of the main themes, all of the main headings, and all of the bold words. That's step 2, or rule number 2, getting an overall idea of what is going on before tackling the details. The next thing you want to do, if there is a summary in the back of the chapter, is check the summary that the author gives you and make sure that you've gotten all those key concepts. You want to go through the book to get them, but then come to that summary and see if you've gotten all of them. So when I look here, I'm going to see some of the same themes that I've already started to write down. Evolution being an overarching theme, new properties emerging, and all of this. So you can use this summary to kind of make sure that you've covered all of the main points. And that's going to be your roadmap of the chapter. All right, so now we go to rule number 3. Rule number 3 is to make connections. And what that means is that now that you've gotten the roadmap or the overview of the chapter, you need to go back in to the chapter and pull out any relevant details that will help you understand those main ideas. All right, so let's have a look at that. At the beginning of the chapter, we had the properties of life. And they were order, evolutionary adaptation, response to the environment, growth and development, regulation, and energy processing, and reproduction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at this figure again, and I'm going to just focus in on growth and reproduction for a moment. What we'll find here is that there will be some further information to help us understand what growth and reproduction means. All right, so I don't know if you can see that, but it says, inherited information carried by genes controls the pattern of growth and development of organisms, such as this Nile crocodile. So what I know now is that somehow growth and development is related to information that's inherited on genes. So I'm going to go back over here to my roadmap where it talks about growth and development, and I'm going to add just that piece of information. Information inherited by genes. So the question then becomes, how do you know where to look to get that information that you need to further understand those concepts? Well, here's the trick. Usually, most of the key information around a bold word or a theme, for example, is going to be right around that word. So, going back to the growth and development picture, that's the further information that's right next to it. If I were looking in the text, over here, for example, where it talks about emergent properties, it says, emergent properties are due to the arrangement and interactions of parts as complexity increases. So it's going to be right next to that bold word. If you read that sentence and you still have no idea what it's talking about, read another sentence or two, and you'll see in this case it gives an example. It says, for example, if you make a test tube mixture of chlorophyll and all the other kinds of molecules found in a chloroplast, photosynthesis will not occur. Photosynthesis can take place only when the molecules are arranged in a specific way. So that's kind of an example of an emergent property, meaning that when things are arranged and they interact in a particular way, then new properties can emerge that wouldn't be there if they weren't arranged in the right way. So what you want to do is you want to take that information right around the bold words and translate that into your own words to make sure that you understand. Another place to look is at the very beginning and end of each paragraph. Usually that's where the key ideas are listed. So, how do I summarize that? That emergent properties are due to the arrangement and interaction of parts. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write down where I have emergent properties on my list, and I'm going to just put that. Arrangement and interaction of parts. And as an example, I might say that I might use brain damage as an example of this. If you damage part of the brain, even though you may still have those pieces, they may not interact with each other in a way that allows the brain to function the way that it normally does. And if I had read a little bit further in that section, it does talk about brain damage a little bit. So that's kind of how I would do it. Enough wording so I understand what it means, and then maybe one reference to an example. And that's what you're going to do for all of these. And that's the third rule. Go back to the text and make connections between the details and the overall ideas.